Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Complete Game Podcast, episode 59. I'm your host, Curt Schilling. He is the new dad, Garrick Schilling. What's going on, Bubba?
Not so new. I got a week under my belt now.
I
I've
know.
played 7-day games and night games, all
Salty vet.
consecutive without sleep. So,
Had a road trip today, big road trip.
yeah, big road trip over to Grandma and Grandpa's house. His first
Yep.
trip out of the house, about an hour in the car. He was pretty good, so we're
doesn't
good.
have
Him and
trouble
Mom are
sleeping.
resting. What's that?
He doesn't have trouble sleeping, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, he's a dream, so we're very lucky.
All right. I did want to mention real quick, Roman Anthony seems to be kicking ass and taking names and seems to be the guy that they were thinking he's going to be. I only noticed that because he's on my fantasy team and he's homered a couple times.
Per the billing.
Yep. And then tonight they won 5-2. Giolito went to 10-2, but Duran went 2 for 2, double homer, scored 3 times, walked twice.
Do you see the homer?
No.
Inside the Parker.
Really?
Yeah.
God, he must
A nice little league home run.
Berserk when he got across home plate.
During a day game, too.
Dude, the Phillies extended Chapman through next year.
Red Sox,
I'm sorry.
Phillies got Walker Buehler from the Red Sox, though.
Yes.
Interesting.
Well,
He'll be postseason eligible. Do you think they use him?
Well, it depends. He has been a guy who's been clutch in Octobers.
And with Wheeler down now and Nola not being himself this year, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, but that's also one of those things you kind of jumpstart a guy's engines.
Nola had a great start the other night, though, against the Braves.
Yeah, he did. He threw really well. But the Chapman 27 save tonight was another hitless inning, by the way. 2 punch-outs.
Yeah, he's on fire. That's actually, I wanted to talk to you about that Aaron Nola start for a second. We talked about similar things, like he's been struggling, not himself this year. Then he starts that home game against a division rival. You were on the Phillies, you played the Braves. You know how important that rivalry is. He gives up 3 runs in that first inning and then settled in and didn't allow another run the rest of his outing. Talk about like what that can do for a guy like him.
That's goes from a, oh no, here we go again, to a season changer. I had a game early in my career where I went out and I think I gave up 4 in the first, and I came back in, and I was young. I was a young guy on a veteran team, and I came back in and I said, "You guys score 4, they will not score another run." And I ended up going 6 and not giving up another run. And I remember Fregosi saying something in the paper afterwards, like, you don't see guys do that a lot because you put yourself on the line when you make a statement like that. And he clutched up, but it's a confidence thing, and he's looking for it anywhere he can get it, right? That could have been he was just miserable before the DL stint, not doing well, inconsistent, all over the place. He couldn't even have a serve. I mean, good pitchers generally, you'll find a way to win games even when you're struggling, because your struggle is 5 innings, 3 runs, 9 hit. Oh, who was it the other night for the Phillies? Not Sanchez, but Luzardo, or I think, went 5, gave up 10 hits, 1 run. They won the game. That's a bad outing, and not 2 1/3, 9 runs, 6 hits, 5 walks. But he was off the rails all year, and so when you're struggling, and I'm sure this is as an athlete in any sport, you're looking for anything confidence-wise you can get. He tacks on, 5 or 6 scoreless after that, walks away from that feeling like he threw a no-hitter. And those are the kind of games that can turn a season around that don't get. Those are the ones that the sabermetricians have trouble with because you can't quantify or identify it. It just happens. But
that's a game where the Phillies also, the bats have just been on fire for them recently.
Right. Yeah. Hey, dude, Kyle Schwarber hit a triple tonight.
I was just about to say Schwarber hit a triple today. Like
Schwarber hit a triple.
When you have stuff like that happening in your lineup, that's when you know you have something special going on.
Yep.
Just before we move on, Dad, when you were leaning just there, you were like this. You were like cutting your face and up. Just be conscious of that. You're good.
Yep.
Another question I had, speaking of like the tough divisions, I was looking at standings before, and something I pointed out to you about the American League is that every single wild card team and even the Rangers on the outside looking in for the wild card spot are have a higher plus run differential than every division leader. So the Tigers, Blue Jays, and Astros all have lower run differential.
And I mean, in defense of the sabermetricians, what they'll tell you is a run differential of X generally facilitates a record of Y. Now, that's obviously there's going to be a differential. You're going to be plus or minus a few games off of that. But, we talked early in the year, bad teams have bad run differentials, good teams have good run differentials. And when you're at or near zero, you have to make a lot of your own luck. And, I don't know what it says other than there is no quantifiable, definitive one method fits all thing. There's a middle ground between sabermetrics and old school baseball that when you figure it out and your organization finds that perfect blend, you win. And, that's why I always talk about Terry Francona. He's a guy who, my God, look up the word old school, you'll see his picture and his dad's picture next to it. But he figured it out in the sense that, okay, listen, I have to change. The game is changing, and I want to manage, and I want to be in the game, so I have to learn to adapt, and he did. And he, for me, has always been the perfect blend, and I think Bochy's the same way, been a perfect blend of, I'll take all the numbers you're telling me, and I'm going to go by those things, and I have a gut feel, because a lot of times you'll see a lot of these front offices with the sabermetrics, they'll come down, and I think we talked about this earlier in the year, they'll say, hey, kid, listen, you can't use Tom, Bob, or John tonight because their metrics in back-to-back games are horrible, so they're unavailable, and managers will be like, okay, whereas Terry to go, okay, hold on a second. I'm not going to try and use them. I'm not going to be hands off. If I need Bob to get 2 outs in the 8th inning because I've got back-to-back lefties, I'm bringing Bob in. And some organizations will be Moneyball, will be Billy Beane and say, listen, you're going to play Pena at first tonight, or you're going to sit Pena and you're going to play Hatterberg, and and the manager would be like, by the way, let's just off the record, the actor that played Art Howlett in that movie.
The manager.
Right. I feel Art Howe was a good-looking dude, man. And fit. That couldn't have been.
And apparently a way better guy than that.
Right. And, yeah, I thought the portrayal of Art Howe in that movie was ridiculous because
if we're talking real Moneyball for a second, no Barry Zito, no is Jermaine Dye. They had 3 borderline Cy Young candidates. Mark Mulder. They weren't the upstart athletic.
But that was another testament to Moneyball. Sabermetrics doesn't win in October because they had Mulder, they had Zito, and they had Hudson. None of those guys were swing and miss strikeout guys. And I've how I feel about that in October. You got to have that guy, but you're seeing it with the Rays. Right? The Rays are sabermetric, Moneyball driven. My God, they get the most out of a weird lineup, and they do the starter thing and blah, 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 blah. But sabermetrics cost them the World Series because they pulled Blake Snell after 7 scoreless innings because they didn't want to do the third time around the order, and they lost.
Well, I was going to say, if you look at the standings, they're my one. I forget what the word is for an outstanding outlier. They're my one outlier. They're plus 47 in the middle of the pack, way out of a playoff spot right now.
Right.
It's such a weird thing to look at. But I'm not talking about plus 47. I'm talking about plus 92 from the Rangers, who are not in a playoff spot. I'm talking about plus 25 from the Mariners, who are above the Rangers, and behind the Astros, who are even lower at plus 15, borderline even, which is just, it's crazy when you think about it.
But what that tells you is, as when you do that, you're going up, the Rangers are minimally above the plus minus, which means they're winning a lot of close games and their bullpens aren't blowing games.
92?
What I'm saying, you're talking about literally a run a game over the course of a season. I would think by now it's at least a run a game, but that stuff plays itself out. Let's put it this way. I'll be very surprised. I'll make the prediction that none of those are going to hold true to the end of the season. When the end of the season comes around, I think the Yankees might be the exception. They might be on the outside looking in with a very good plus run differential just because of their injuries. But I think it generally falls into a pretty customary order. The better teams are up top, and the ones that aren't so good are in the bottom. And I could be wrong, but I don't think you're going to see any team with a negative run differential in the postseason.
So that kind of leads into another question I had based on these divisions, because the one I'm looking at the most closely with two of their AL East teams in the wild card gaining on them, the Blue Jays, who are 3 games up on the Yankees, 3.5 up on the Red Sox. Just sort of philosophy-wise for you from a baseball perspective, do you think it's possible in Major League Baseball, it's the longest season in professional sports, to hang on with a month left?
Yeah. Because
can you play 500 ball down the stretch here?
As players, you don't look at it that way. You know, that's the difference. That's the mindset of a fan. Like, I got a game tonight. We've got Scherzer tonight, or we've got Skubal tonight. That's the game, blah, 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 3.5. And, you know, you don't think about those 3.5. We saw it with the Padres-Dodgers, a couple weeks ago, right? Where the Padres were 3 up on the Dodgers, and we came back and did a show a week later, and the Dodgers were 3 up on the Padres. I mean, those things jump. I would tell you this is a really good time to think back to April and the stupid losses in April and people talking about, it's just one game. Those are the games you have to make up now. And so, you know, and you're making it up now with a 5-month-old roster of injuries and call-ups and all the things that go with that. And it goes to show you why getting off to a monstrous start, you know, the 85 Tigers went 35-5 and wire to wire. It's just because it's so hard to make up that body of work when the teams you're trying to make them up against you're playing. Or vice versa. It's nightmare. If you're 5 games back and have no games left against the 3 teams in front of you or 2 teams in front of you, it's out of your hands.
Then,
those games become huge. Those series become huge.
Now, a question about just more individual. When you're coming down the stretch as a pitcher, especially a starting pitcher with maybe 3, 4, 5 starts left in the entire season, what are some things, especially on a team like the Phillies or the Tigers or one of these teams that, you know, they're in Luzardo and Sanchez, they're still going to pitch. What can you work on? What can you do in these next 30 days is it just about like keeping course, maintaining what's gotten you here?
Nothing changes. Nothing. The only time, once you lock up that spot, the playoffs have changed since I came into baseball. They went from traditional to the wild card to multiple teams, to, you know, best of 5s and best of 7s. It used to be, you know, a best of 7 for the champions, and then you go to the World Series, and then it was 2 rounds and then a World Series and stuff like that. Now, with the wild card and the bye and all the other stuff that goes with that, it's much more on the front office trying to softly massage the rotation into a semblance of order that you go. So if you do, you know, especially for the teams that might have a play-in game or might have that Monday wild card game, you know, wild card, I guess I like it to say it's one game, dude. I mean,
kind of love it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, and it's
the closest that Major League Baseball will ever get to a Super Bowl. You know, like a one game sudden death dodgeball.
Right, and I don't have a problem with it in the sense that you won the wild card, you didn't win anything, so you got to win another one to go. And you know, like you hear a lot of teams complaining about, oh, we played 162 and we only get one game to win your division then.
I also like it for the fact that it does give the wild card team the unintended handicap that you want a lower seed to have. You know, like they use their number 1 guy, like that got them here, so now they got to get the rest of the way with the rest.
It pushes back to the old school deep rotation, because a lot of times you see a lot of these teams that get to the wild card, they have to play in on the last day of the season where they throw their ace, and then on Monday they have to, that playing game, they have to throw their 2, so which means in 2 days they're opening up a series with their 3, whereas the other team,
Well, and just sorry to interrupt, but how that feels for just from the fans' perspective, as if you get that last game of the season beat into the wild card, and then you win that wild card game with your number 2 starter, there's no more, like, yes, winning the World Series is obviously the ultimate prize, but that week where you guys were dead and you have extra life, and every game is free baseball from there on out.
You play back-to-back win-or-go-home games, right? I mean, I'm
getting chills thinking about it.
I only had that happen once. I pitched the final day of the season in 2005, and we had to win, and Cleveland had to lose, and we played the Yankees in that last day. But I like it. I like that because, again, and I know I keep using the term, but it goes back to the old school. You got to have a deep rotation. A deep is in 3. You got to have 3 guys that you can give the ball to, and all 3 guys, you wouldn't be surprised when they win in October. And that was where the Phillies were sitting very pretty a couple weeks ago.
You seem like you're looking for a synonym for old school, and the only one I could think of was OG. I don't think I could sit here and watch you do that to yourself.
No, that's not going to happen.
You got anything else, or you want to guess the teammate?
No, I'm good. Yeah, let's do guess the teammate.
All right. We got to guess your teammate to end the show. You got 5 clues ranging from difficult to very easy with a former teammate of my dad's. I feel like I shouldn't ask this, but I've been looking. Did you ever play with a Nolan? I don't think so, because I haven't found one. All right,
Really?
I'll keep looking. I haven't looked through every bullpen because I wouldn't do that yet. We haven't gotten to bullpens yet. But, like I said, we have a former teammate of my dad's here with 5 clues, so let's get to the first clue. I played 10 years for 5 franchises across the American and National League, appearing in just over 850 games in the outfield.
Okay, pass.
I was born in Okinawa, Japan, to a U.S. Marine and a Japanese local, and played for 3 different NL West teams. This was a gamble for me because if you knew that he was born in Japan, it would have been game over. Don't do the obvious thing.
No.
Okay. A valuable utility player for my knowledge of the strike zone and excellent base running principles. My speed was my best asset that allowed me to stay a decade long in professional baseball.
I don't even know when I played with this guy. I don't have the first clue, and we're 3 in.
That makes me happy.
10 years.
10 years, 5 different teams, 3 NL West teams. Speedy guy, good base running and strike zone knowledge. I will say this is the second to last one. This one is pretty obvious. So if you got any sort of guess, make a guess. Pass. One of the key acquisitions during the trade deadline for the 2004 Boston Red Sox, I was acquired at the trade deadline by the LA Dodgers, a team which I now manage.
Dave
Roberts.
One of the kindest human beings to ever play. And it was funny, too. What I remember about Dave Roberts was he had his little boy who was, and Dave was a little guy. His son was like a little dude. And I don't know if you remember his son coming in the club.
He looked just like him, too.
But he came in the clubhouse, he had a LaDainian Tomlinson jersey on, and it like went to the floor. It was like 19 sizes.
The same time I did, too.
Yep.
Except it was that LaDainian Tomlinson jersey I had was the only one that fit me. All the other ones were yours and wore like dresses.
Right. Yeah. But the most important stolen base in the history of the Red Sox franchise.
Yeah. I mean, the moment that started the comeback.
Well, that was the ultimate, I always say for a pitcher, the challenge for a great pitcher, a pitcher in the big leagues, is to be able to throw a fastball and a fastball count to a fastball hitter and get a good result. Went into the game for a single purpose. Everybody in the game knew the purpose. Everybody in the game knew he was doing what he was going to do on that play.
Planet.
And he still did it. And by the way,
over at twice.
By the way, Joe West at second base made a great call in a situation where for years the Red Sox always got screwed in their minds.
That was, I mean, shout out to Joe West. Not a lot of umpires get shine when they make great calls. That was as bang bang up. It was as close as it could have possibly been.
And thank God it was Joe, because Joe was, even though he was kind of a dick, he was a great umpire and he was exceptional on the bases.
That's like a little bit of outside baseball. Gates, our friend and family friend, was talking about their rewatching Game of Thrones over at their house, and he was talking about the Mountain and the Viper, and he was like, every time I watch it, I still don't want him to lose. I still get heartbroken when he loses. Yeah. That's how I feel about Dave Roberts' steal. Every time I'm like, oh, like he's gonna get thrown out. Like it's
and
that
I'm with Gates.
Close.
I'm with Gates. I almost rewatch it just hoping that somehow it's changed and the Viper wins, because
there's 5 scenes like that in that show.
Dude, that scene caught me so off guard. It was like the Ned Stark beheading. Like
I'll remember where I was for that forever.
Oh my gosh! And then the Red Wedding took it to a whole new level.
All right. Before we spend another 40 minutes in here.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Hey guys, again, everything's going great. You guys are doing great. Send questions, like, subscribe, share, please. We're going to, at some point in the near future, we're going to set it up to do a couple different live streams, and we're going to start. I'll talk to some people and probably start getting some guests on here to talk.
More questions. We're coming down to the wire. We got a month left. It is August 31st. You will be listening to this on September 1st. That means there is a month left until October baseball. So if you guys have postseason questions, here's a guy who played a lot of postseason baseball.
Remember, the rules have changed now. The 40-man roster rules are no longer the 40-man roster rules. You don't get 40 men. It's a very limited number of call-ups. So much more appropriate. You're going to have a bunch of guys sitting around. But the roster rules change tomorrow, and some key young players are going to be coming to the big leagues to do some things for some big teams. So, all right, G, get your dad hat on and do your thing, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, buddy. I love you.
Love you too.
All right. Have a good night, guys.